All right, so guys, this weekend, UFC 320, are we going to see Alex Pereira regain his light heavyweight title? Are we going to see him continue his reign of greatness? This great run that he's on for the last 3 years, are you going to continue that by regaining and becoming a two-time light heavyweight champion? Is he going to get back into the conversation for light heavyweight GOAT? Is he going to become the light heavyweight GOAT? Is he going to get back in the conversation to becoming to potentially fighting. There being grumblings of him going up and fighting Tom Aspinall for the heavyweight strap. Or will we see Magomed Ankalaev start his reign of dominance, his reign as the light heavyweight king? Will he knock out Alex Pereira? Will Pereira land a left hook of doom and knock Magomed Ankalaev out? These are questions that are going to be answered in this video today. Now, I did do an individual breakdown for that specific fight. I'll put that in the descriptions. Go ahead and check it out. It'll explain a lot. All right, so we're gonna start with the prelims, guys. We're gonna go all the way down through the main event today. This is a very, very hard card to to do predictions on. Some tough fights on here, but we're gonna dissect it the best we can. All right, so listen, Brogan Walker versus Veronica Hardy. Brogan Walker's garbage. She isn't good anywhere. She's supposed to be some kind of grappler, but we saw Eisman Lucindo. Took her down and controlled her easily, beat her up on the feet. Juliana Miller did the same thing, the literal same thing, except Juliana Miller finished her. Veronica Hardy has some skill, She's quick in and out. She's that karate stance where she blitzes in and out. She has a good takedown defense, and when she's taken down, she's shown ability to get back up. Versus Eduardo Mara, who is a giant woman in comparison to Veronica Hardy, took her down. She was able to get back up. Even though she got dominated in that fight. But she did beat J.J. Aldridge. She has some wins. And she beat Juliana Miller, who finished Brogan Walker. So this is clear as day. Brogan Walker, I think, was out for 2 years with an injury as well. So that's not in her favor. I do think that Veronica Hardy is small for the division. I think she should be a strawweight. She would have much more success, in my opinion. I think she could do well as a strawweight, in my opinion, actually. But she's choosing to be a flyweight, and yeah. But either way, I do think she's the better fighter here. I do think she's gonna win a unanimous decision. It'll be pretty obvious that she's the winner. Unanimous decision for Veronica Hardy. On to the next, Ramiz Brahimaj versus Austin Vanderford. Now this is one of the hard fights to pick because Austin Vanderford, while he's 13-2, he beat the shit out of Nikolay Veretennikov. He's only had one fight, outside of his contender series fight. He had one fight against Nikolay Veretennikov, who's fighting on this card as well, and who's not very good. Ramiz, he's known for winning one, losing one, winning one, losing one, but he's won his last two, right? Early in his career, he was always winning one, losing one, but now, he's won his last two versus not good competition, Mickey Gall, Billy Golf. Competition's not great, but a standing guillotine versus Mickey Golf. He was landing some pretty good combinations versus Mickey Gall. He did lose a wrestling match with Themba Garimbo, which is kind of worrying because Austin Vanderford is going to grapple with him, is going to probably take him down. We saw Austin Vanderford dominate Nikolay Veretennikov in a grappling clinic in the first round, pretty much, and the same domination in the second round before he finished him. We saw Ramiz Brahimaj lose to Court McGee. He was wrestled. He was controlled by Court McGee. So I'm gonna have to go Austin Vanderford. Even though in recent history I haven't done good with guys that haven't had a lot of UFC experience fighting guys that do. I'm gonna have to go with Austin Vanderford in this fight, and I'm gonna say it's gonna go to decision. Yeah, I'm going to say decision for Austin Vanderford. On to the next, Nikolay Veretennikov versus Punahele Soriano. Now, Punahele, since going down to welterweight, that stoppage over, that KO over Oros Medvedev was nasty, man. Knocked him out cold with a 1-2 right down the pipe. Knocked him out cold. We know that Punahele, he's lost to guys like Dustin Stolfus at middleweight. You know what I'm saying? And so with him tightening up his his conditioning, his cardio, and moving down to welterweight. I think this is gonna do something good for his career. I mean, we saw Roman Kopylov knock him out. He was just getting knocked out at middleweight and getting handled pretty easily, either submitted or. So I do think this is a good move. I think the welterweight division was his division in the first place. Nikolay Veretennikov is not very good, man. He's just not. Francisco Prado, I think in his last fight, Francisco Prado German suplexed him. And I think some Francisco Prado beat him in the second and third round. I don't know how Nikolay won that fight. If you go back and watch that fight, Nikolay clearly won the first round, but the second and third I thought were easily Francisco Prado's. Um, even versus Angelo Trevino on the Contender Series, I rewatched that fight. He got dropped in that fight. You know what I mean? He got dropped in that fight. So I mean, I don't know. I don't think that Nikolay is very good in any way, shape, or form. Um, yeah, no. I just think that he got dominated by Austin Vanderford, the guy that we just talked about before. So I think Punahele's gonna knock him out. Yeah, Punahele's gonna knock him out. He showed great power. If you're knocking out Uros Medic, the doctor, moving down in weight class, I think you're gonna knock out Nikolay Veretennikov. On to the next one, we got Patchy Mix versus Jakub Wiklacz. Now this is, I think, so Jakub Wiklacz is a guy that's going to wrestle. He's not a Mario Batista that's going to pepper Patchy Mix flat-footed style. So he's not going to outbox Patchy Mix. This is Jakub Wiklacz. He's going to try and grapple with Patchy Mix, where I think Patchy Mix will have the advantage. I did I did go back and watch one of Patchy Mix's uh, fights from his what promotion was he in again? Bellator, or yeah, I think it was Bellator, and versus Juan Archuleta, and yeah, he put on a grappling clinic on him. Transitions were flawless. He was threatening rear naked chokes, attacking submissions. So I think that he's a superior grappler here. I'm going to pick him to beat Jakub Wiklacz by submission victory. I watched Jakub Wiklacz fight a guy named Sebastian Prisbez, and he was dropped brutally in that fight. Dropped brutally in that fight. Um, Not saying that Patchy Mix is gonna like knock him out or anything. I think it's gonna be a grappling match. I do think Patchy Mix is the better, superior grappler based on what I've seen of the two. On to the next one. We got Macy Chiasson versus Yana Santos. Um, Ketlin Vera pretty easily beat Macy Chiasson. But Macy Chiasson, she beat Myra Borner Silva with that doctor stoppage. She kept her at range, used her length very well. She's 5'11", she's a 72-inch reach. Yana Santos is 5'6", 6'6", 5'6" with a 68.5-inch reach. Yana Santos is on a 2-fight win streak. She beat Chelsea Chandler, who's hot garbage. She beat Misha Tate at this point is hot garbage. Um, we saw Macy Chiasson. I think before the Myra Buena Silva fight, she submitted Penye Kayanze. So I just think Macy Chiasson, based on the attributes that she's rangier, she's a bigger woman. I think she will get the job done versus a Yana Santos in this by unanimous decision. I feel like every time, unless it's like a super high level women's fight, I'm never gonna pick it to do anything but decision. To be honest, rarely do we see finishes in the women's fights. Um, yeah. So on to the next one. This is another hard fight right here. Joosang versus Daniel Santos. Now, Joosang knocked out Jekka Sergey in one of the most hilarious knockouts I've ever seen in my life. Jekka blitzes in, he catches him with a McGregor-esque hook, and just sleeps him badly. So Joosang has crazy power. He's 9-0. Daniel Santos, though, man, Jang Yong Lee, it was a war between those guys, back and forth. He showed good grappling. I don't know Joosang Yo's grappling capabilities. Um, Daniel Santos got dropped by Jang Yong Lee though in the first round, badly, and then he recovered in the second and third round. Versus Johnny Muniz, that was more of a grappling match, and he out grappled him. Um, mm, Again, Joe Song Yo doesn't have much UFC experience, but I'm gonna pick him because of the power. I think that, man, Daniel Santos was able to recover pretty well though versus Jang Yong Lee. I'm gonna pick Joe Song Yo by KO. I don't think that Daniel Santos can handle that type of power. I mean, yeah. I'm gonna go with Joe Sangyo by KO in that fight. We got Farid Basharat versus Chris Gutierrez. Chris Gutierrez is gonna win this fight, I think. Chris Gutierrez has an ability to make fights look closer than they are versus Xiang Yadong. He got beat pretty easily in that fight, but it didn't. I mean, there were some moments he was landing some pretty hard leg kicks. Chris Gutierrez has some really good leg kicks versus Kwang Lee. Kwang Lee, I mean, he was ripping up Kwang Lee's legs. You know what I'm saying? We've seen him historically in his career just make fights that, we know Farid Basharat is on his bike. Very good lateral movement, but I think a couple of leg kicks from Chris Gutierrez will slow him down. I think Chris Gutierrez gets this one done. I'm going to say by, I'm going to say by decision. That's mainly how he wins anyway. On to the next, we got Edmund Shobozion versus Andre Muniz. Um, I'm gonna pick Edmund Shabazian, man. We saw Adrian Muniz. We saw him get KO'd by Ikram. Wait, am I mixing up the fighters here? Hold on. I'm mixing up the fighters. Jesus Christ. Yeah. So we saw Andre Munoz get KO'd by Ikram. He beat the Iron Turtle, which is a good win. But is he gonna be able to grapple Edmund like that? Nah, I don't think so. We saw him get TKO'd by Paul Craig in a grappling match, of course, and then Paul Craig just ground and pounded him out. I just think Edmund Shabazian is a good enough anti-grappler to keep the fight standing, and I think he's gonna finish Andre Munoz. On the feet, he's way better striker. This is gonna be a Edmund Shabazian TKO victory. On to the next one, Atiba Gutierrez versus Ozzy Diaz. Um, I think that this is gonna be the slaughter of the lambs. Atiba Gutierrez is a problem, man. He is a real problem. He's gonna be a problem in this division. He's a big giant guy. Moves well, sharp punches. Ozzy Diaz just, he had a close fight with Jordan Santos, man. Like he's about to get finished in the first round. TKO first round for Atiba Gutierrez. On to the next one, Abus Magomedov versus Joe Pyfer. Um, Abus may have some success in the first round. Joe Pyfer finishes him, I think. The only reason Joe Pyfer didn't finish Calvin Gastelum is because Calvin is like, he's got this, I don't know, he's just tough Mexican, big head. Calvin's also better than Abus. I think that Abus is going to have success in the first round. The second round comes, we'll see a TKO by Joe Pyfer. Joe Pyfer's a tank of a human. He's a big guy, rangier. Um, those kicks, he's going to be able to see those kicks from Abus early. I think he's going to weather the storm. And not that he's going to be in like crazy pressure or crazy danger. I just think that Joe Pyfer is just the more powerful, better fighter, and he will knock out Abus Magomedov in the second round. On to the next, we got Josh Emmett versus Yusuf Zalol. Josh Emmett these days, Bryce Mitchell, good knockout. We saw him lose to Murphy. So who's a clean technical striker. He beat Bryce Mitchell in a devastating knockout. He lost to Ilya. He lost to Yair. He beat Calvin Kattar in a iffy win. Um, I think that Yusuf Zalal is just too clean for him. Yusuf Zalal is 5'10", so he's a Ranger. He has a 2-inch reach advantage. You know, um, we saw him beat Billy Quarantillo, John Evans, Jack Shore, Kattar. So I think this is going to come down to Zalal just being a cleaner, more technical striker, which is what Josh Emmett struggles with. And I think we're going to see Zalal win a decision here. I don't think he's going to finish him, but I do think he's going to win a decision. He's a cleaner, technical, more technical striker, and I think he's going to just be too much of that. There's going to be too much of that for Emmett in this fight. So we got Zalal winning. And Zalal's on a 4-fight win streak, so for him beating on Josh Emmett gets him into the more up the rankings. Now we're gonna see him start fighting some of the top the maybe top 10 guys, and yeah. So I have Zalal winning this one by decision. On to the next one: Yuri Prohaska versus Khalil Roundtree. Okay, this is where you see what I mean by these fights are just difficult. This is a tough one. Because essentially what's going to happen is Khalil's going to beat the shit out of Yuri until he isn't. You know what I mean? Like the first round, he's going to beat the shit out of Yuri. He's going to fuck up Yuri's legs like Rakic did. You know what I'm saying? And Yuri is, much more defensively sound, but Khalil is, the Muay Thai. You've seen the evolution of his striking. How he was tagging up Pereira, drop Anthony Smith, right? What he did to Jamal Hill. Now, both men knocked out Jamal Hill. TKO Jamal Hill, but Roundtree's just a cleaner, man. He's cleaner. So I think I'm going to go ahead and pick Yuri because I do think that Yuri is going to just keep the pressure. He's gonna take the beating that Khalil is gonna put on him. I do think Khalil hits harder than Rakic, so we could see him win. This one's a tough one. I do think that either fighter can win this fight, but I think something's telling me Yuri's just gonna get beat up for a round and a half. We did see Roundtree slow down versus Pereira, and really a lot. We've seen him slow down versus a lot of guys. Yeah, I see. Because Yuri's just gonna continue to press him, forcing Khalil to have output, and I do think that eventually Khalil will start to slow down. Yuri will start to avalanche down. That he's a small snowball, right? He starts like that small snowball at the top of the hill, and as he's going down the mountain, right? There's a village down at the bottom, and you see this snowball just getting bigger and bigger as the fight goes on. And that's Yuri. He's gonna get bigger and bigger and bigger. Khalil's the village. You know what I'm saying? Khalil's gonna be reigning supreme over that mountain for years. Until that snowball starts picking up steam and getting bigger and bigger, and eventually over time you see that snowball take out the village. I think that's what Yuri's gonna do to you listen. Yuri's resume, I want to talk about this. Yuri's resume in the UFC is insane. It's insanity. It's insane. This is his resume. His first fight was against Volkan Ozdemir. Second fight, Dominic Reyes. Third fight, Glover Teixeira. Then he fights I think Rakic. No, that's wrong. So he fought Pereira twice. He fought Rakic in no particular order. I'm not gonna give it an order. And then he beats Jamal Hill. That's his resume. Volkan Ozdemir, Dominic Reyes, Glover Teixeira, Rakic, Pereira twice, and Jamal Hill. He's only lost to Pereira both times. Everybody else he's beat. That's pretty impressive, man. He's only been fed killers in his UFC. He was tossed into the gauntlet right away. And Khalil, he's had some, much easier fights, right? So, we know Chris Dawkins, Anthony Smith, Dustin Jacoby's not bad, but they're not the level of competition that Yuri is fighting. So I'm gonna pick Yuri by KO, man. I think eventually that snowball is just gonna become too big for that village. And I think that Yuri's just gonna take him out, man. And I'm gonna say late third round, early fourth. What am I talking about? This is a 3-round fight. Wait, is this a 3-round fight? Hold on, let me look. I have to cheat again. This is terrible, man. I shouldn't have to cheat like this. Is this gonna be a 5-rounder? 5-rounder. It's a 3-round. I'm just gonna say 3-rounder. I don't care whether it's a 5-rounder. I might be wrong. I think it's a 3-rounder. Um, yeah. So that's what I got, man. I think that Yuri's gonna KO Khalil. Yeah, he's just gonna become. It's a 3-rounder, so maybe Kill survives and wins a decision. That makes it more interesting. Actually, let me find that for sure whether it's a 3-rounder. It's terrible that I'm doing this, but I should know because I'm not a casual. But whatever. Yuri versus how many rounds? 3-round. This is a 3-round bout. So this makes it more interesting, actually. This makes it more interesting. mm, I'm still gonna go Yuri. I think Yuri's gonna knock him out in the 3rd round. On to the next. We have the co-main event of the evening. Co-main. Corey Sandhagen versus Merab. All right, Corey's a great talent, man. He beat Figgy. He lost to Umar. The thing is, in the Umar fight, Umar wasn't able to take him down and hold him down like that. He beat Rob Font, beat Cheeto Ver, beat Song Yadong, which is very impressive in my opinion. Um, Merab, again, this is another snowball. I think the first round would be very competitive, very competitive. I think Corey will stuff takedowns. I think Corey will land on Merab. I think Corey is gonna probably win the first round, maybe even the second. But Corey, although he has some power, I don't think he has like concussive KO power like that, like where he's like just starching guys. And I don't think that's gonna be good. I mean, if Merab is taking punches from Sean O'Malley, you know what I mean? I think eventually what's gonna happen is I think Merab is gonna be pressing Corey, and I think he's gonna press Corey just like Yuri. This is gonna be like Yuri versus Roundtree over again. You have one guy that's more technical, um, but you have this one guy who's just a beast that just moves forward nonstop and just can't seem to get finished. And I think Merab's just gonna eventually overwhelm Corey. I mean, we saw him have increased striking ability versus Sean O'Malley and versus Umar, right? His striking looked great in that. We saw him pick Henry Cejudo up off the ground, right? We saw him pick Sean O'Malley up off the ground, who Sean O'Malley isn't as good as a grappler or anti-grappler as Corey is. So I don't think that Merab's going to have the as much success in the grappling area. And I do think that with Corey's grappling ability, that's what's going to make the fight close in the second round and for first and second round. But I think eventually Merab's just gonna wear on him. He's that snowball, man. So Corey's the village. Just remember, Corey's the village. Merab is the snowball at the top of the mountain. And it's been Corey, that village has been reigning supreme over that mountain for years. But Merab, the snowball, starts picking up steam as he's headed down this mountain. And eventually, this snowball is just too big and too powerful and just takes out this village, which is what I think Merab's gonna do. You know what I mean? I'm gonna say Merab by submission here. I think Corey's just gonna slow down. I do think that this one is a 5 rounder. Co-main. Yeah, no, it's championship. What the heck, dude? Oh my God. Listen, guys, I'm gonna be honest. I just woke up. This is a 5 round fight because it's a championship fight. Of course, it's a 5 rounder. Oh my goodness gracious, man. In my last video too, I said some casual shit. I said that Neil Magny's the middleweight GOAT. He's the welterweight GOAT, not the middleweight GOAT. He's a welterweight GOAT. And I listened to myself say that he's better than Anderson Silva. No, he's better than GSP. Goodness gracious. Okay? There's a lot going on. Okay, it's a lot going on. When you have just a lot of things going on, you're saying the wrong things. You know what I mean, though, okay? This is a 5 round fight because it's a championship fight. My goodness gracious. Merab is going to take out Corey Sandhagen. Okay? Alex Pereira versus Magomed Ankalaev. Mmm. Mmm. Alex, um, listen, Alex is got to make the right adjustments. I think that the adjustments are his to make. You need to find a way to attack Magomed's body. I said this in my breakdown video, my individual breakdown. I put that in the description. Go check it out. I think you need to find a way to attack Magomed's body. If we look at Alex Pereira's fights historically, he's chopping at the legs, but then he's also piecing up that body with that jab, that low jab. I don't think he's fast enough to do that against Ankalaev. But what he is fast enough to do is he's fast enough to throw up that body kick. That's how you mix it up to the body, right? Of Ankalaev. You're gonna have to hit him with some body kicks. If you go back and watch the first fight these two gentlemen had, every single body kick that Pereira threw landed. Every one. If you don't believe me, go back and watch the fight. This first fight was very close. Listen, people are saying it was 4-1 Ankalaev. It's crazy. It was 3-2 3-2. Pereira won the first round. Ankalaev won the second. Edged out the third, maybe. If you rewatch that fight, it was a very close third round. Edged out the third. He won the fourth. And then Pereira won the fifth. It came down to the third round. Very, very, very close fight. You know, if Pereira lands a few more significant strikes in that third round, he wins that round. And in my opinion, wins the fight. You understand what I'm saying? Fifth round was close, but Pereira landed those head kicks that rocked Magomed. Go back and watch. He rocked him. He landed the more significant strikes in that round. You see what I'm saying? So even in the fourth round, when Magomed had him clinched up against the fence, Pereira landed like 7 of those sneaky little knees right to his midsection. You know, second round was the most dominant round for Magomed, where he rocked Pereira twice on 2 separate occasions, almost took him off his feet. You know, I think that um, Magomed has a speed advantage, clear as day, has a speed advantage, the boxing advantage. So again, I don't think that Pereira is going to be able to go to his body by using that jab like he normally does. You know what I'm talking about? That body jab that he likes. I don't think that's going to be there because of the speed advantage for Magomed. But the kicks to the body will be there. And if you look at any time Pereira threw multiple kicks in a row, like a leg kick to a head kick to a, that's how he rocked Ankalaev multiple times in that fight. Not just the fifth round, he did it multiple times. You see what I'm saying? So I do think that Pereira has to find a way to get to Ankalaev's body. What that's gonna do, right? So if you think about the first fight, the fact that he didn't land, like he rarely went to the body of Ankalaev, it had allowed Ankalaev to stay defensively sound up top. Mm. He stayed defensively sound up top, so that means that uh, he didn't have to worry about that left hook as much. It was still there, right? But if you're peppering up someone's body, their hands do what? They go lower, leaving availability to Alex landing that left hook up top. But that wasn't there because Alex didn't do anything to Magomed's body. He has to find a way to get to Magomed's body. Magomed did a great job, man. That outside foot battle, he won it. The hand fighting, he won it. He was faster. After rocking Pereira in the second round, Pereira was weary because Pereira is saying, okay, I have to watch both the takedowns and I have to watch this guy's power. So obviously, if that's the case, then he's gonna have Pereira on the back foot throwing leg kicks like he did most of the fight. So Pereira has to. I'm telling you, he has to. He has to land that body kick, man. He has to land that body kick. He has to find a way to get to. If they clinch up, he has to be relentless with those sneaky knees up the middle. Because listen, I'm telling you right now, go back and watch the fourth round and then watch the fifth round. Magomed slowed down in the fifth round. I think those sneaky knees that Pereira was landing in the fourth took the life out of not necessarily the life, but slowed Magomed down. And again, he was able to go to the body. Look at the fourth round into the fifth. The signs are all there. It's there for Pereira. I just don't think he's going to have it, man. I think what Pereira's going to do is I think he's going to try and come forward. And I think he's going to try and KO Ankalaev. I don't think he's gonna have the setups. I think he should take his time. I don't think he should. I think he should do exactly what he did in the first fight, but just throw more body kicks. Throw more body kicks. You know what I'm saying? Understand your positioning. Instead of circling off and retreating as much as he did, circle off on angles so you can land counters, right? And make sure that you're working that body. And you're selective with your shots, just like you do. You could throw as million leg kicks like you did in the first fight, but just make sure you're going to the body as well, and throw kicking combinations. Every single time you did that, you were able to land. You see what I'm saying? I don't think you're going to be as worried for the takedowns. And even if you are, even if he does take you down, understand that you have the ability to survive on the ground. I don't think that Ankalaev is going to try and rear naked choke you or guillotine you out. I don't think that's what's going to happen. So I think Pereira needs to go into this fight, with a few minor adjustments if he wants to come out and win this fight. I don't think you need to rewrite history here. Literally a few minor adjustments. I think you win the fight. The fight was very, very close. You know what I'm saying? You do have to be a little more aggressive for sure, but you let that happen over time as you set up things. You're kicking them in the legs early, you're working the body a little bit with that body kick, using a little bit more feints and level changes to get in on the on his on some strikes up top. Right? You just have to mix it up, man. Magomed, I think, is going to win this fight, though, man. I think that Magomed is in his Pereira's head a little bit. For him to land on Pereira the way he did showed Pereira, okay, you know what, this guy can hurt me, right? I still think Magomed is the better grappler. He is the speed advantage. He has a lot of advantages here. Do I want Magomed to win? Absolutely not. I think it'd be greater. It'd be a greater story for Alex Pereira to come in and within 4 years, become a two-time light heavyweight champion and a middleweight champion. And then next year go up and maybe we'll beat Carlos Ulberg and go up next year and fight Tom Aspinall. That would be a much cooler story. It'd be much better for legacy and much better for history. But I just don't think that's going to happen. I think Magomed has the advantages. He kind of, has an idea how to beat Pereira. I think he's in Pereira's head, and not the way you think. I know they've been going back and forth with this beef, meeting up in the UFC PI and translating on each other's phone, the shit talk and all this stuff that they're doing. I don't think that's how he's in his head. I think that he touched Pereira, and Pereira is going to be weary of that. But I am telling you right now, Pereira could just as easily knock this guy out. I could be very wrong here because the adjustments are his to make, in my opinion. They're his to make. Um, there was a ton of opportunity for Pereira to land counters. I put that in my description video, my individual description video of this fight. There were tons of opportunities for him to land counters, but he was just gun shy. He's gun shy, And I'm not saying that you need to go in there and go for broke again. What I am telling you is to take advantage of the opportunities that present themselves. Those body kicks, land 3-4 leg kicks to the body, head kick, leg kick, head kick, head kick. Those are the combinations that were landing. Very few and far between, right? But those landed in that first fight. See, people don't look at those type of things. Pereira landed maybe 2 or 3 kicking combinations where he put a string of kicks together up top, to the body, to the leg. Those were landing, and Pereira's quick kicks are very quick, very very quick, fast kicks. I mean, we saw what he did to Yuri with that head kick. So he has fast kicks, And when you start loosening up, and you go to the body, you land a couple of body kicks. You know what I'm saying? Magomed starts to slow down a little bit. You need to find a way to get to Magomed's body. I'm telling you. That 4th round, when you were landing those sneaky little knees up the middle, Magomed still won the 4th round. But you kind of saw him slow down in the 5th a little bit. I think Pereira has to find a way to get some teeps off. Also, you saw Magomed, the level changes in the feints were mass with that up and down and circling his lead arm, southpaw stance, circling that lead arm on the outside to land that power hand left. Masterful. So Magomed's going to continue to do those things, those level changes, up and down, feints, getting in on the inside of Alex. Alex is going to have to use that teep kick to keep him at bay. You're going to have to keep this man at bay, or else he's going to there's a chance he can knock you out, man. I think Alex needs to lean. He has fast kicks, teeps to the body kicks, work the legs, combinations, leg body up top. And I think that's how Alex could potentially, get into. I think those are adjustments he needs to make, man. The outside foot battle is going to be essential again, but I think early in the fight he needs to lean heavy on those kicks. I know he's potentially afraid that he may get taken down, but I think Alex can get back up. And so I am of the belief that if Alex makes these adjustments, he wins this fight, man. But I am going to go ahead and pick Ankalaev because, again, the level changes, the feints, the fear of the takedown, the hand speed, the winning the foot battle, the winning the hand fighting, not being afraid of coming in on the inside, pushing Pereira back, having Pereira retreat. He has the game plan to beat. That is the best way to beat Alex, is to have him on the back foot. And he did that. He did that for 4.5 rounds. There were times where Alex was pressing forward, but majority of the fight, Ankalaev had octagon control. So with that being said, I do think Ankalaev is going to win this fight. It's either going to be by KO or by decision again. I do think Alex is high level. I do think Alex has a chance to win, but in due time, we will find out. It's your boy, MMA Mechanic. Like, comment, share, subscribe, bell icon, all that stuff. Until next time.